Okay, I was originally gonna title this video the smallest Nerf blaster in the world, but I was recently told that Mark Rober's already done a video about that, so that's kinda inconvenient for me, but I mean, his video can't be that good, right?
Because our Nerf guns are 100 nanometers in length, which is 5 times smaller than the actual wavelength of visible light. So Jocelyn's using an atomic force.
Alright, change of plans. Today we're gonna make the smallest Nerf blaster in this room. I'm sure it's gonna be the smallest one in this fucking room, okay? Let's just fucking start the video. Okay, the first thing we need to work out is what we're gonna use for power. No, I meant for the blaster. Anyway, whenever I design a kit, I try to make it as 3D printable as possible, meaning no extra parts are required. So obviously my first preference was compliant mechanisms. I used a compliant spring mechanism for my claw machine from my last video, and I thought I should try something like that for my blaster. So I tried a couple of designs, but nothing really worked because the spring would either be too thick and would be too stiff to compress, or if I went for a thinner design, it would simply be too weak and would warp over multiple uses. Another option I had was a clicky pen spring, but unfortunately I dropped it while I was taking it out of my pen, and when I bent down to try and find it because it's the only clicky pen I own, not only did I not find it, I also ripped my trousers in half and it took me a few days to sew them back together, and now they look good as new, but I still couldn't find the fucking spring. At this point I was feeling rather hopeless and decided to snort some mango flavored Tang to lift my spirits, and while I was doing that, it finally came to me. The solution was right in front of me the whole time. Tang? No, not Tang, you dumb fuck. Rubber bands. I made a few adjustments to my design and made the trigger mechanism rubber band powered as well, and here's how it looks. Let's test it to see if it even works. Yes it does. Okay, now that we know what we're gonna use for power, we can start thinking about the design of the blaster. Now before you start saying I'm copying Mark Rober, I would like to tell you to eat shit. But in all seriousness, the Maverick Rev 6 is probably the most iconic Nerf blaster there is, and it was also my first one. You can say I lost my Nerf virginity to this blaster, although the words Nerf and losing virginity in the same sentence just doesn't sound right. Anyway, I'm gonna model mine after that. But with this decision comes a new set of challenges mainly related to how we're gonna implement the rotating cylinder design. Now for the glue sniffers among you, this might seem like a very simple design, and it can be, but I wanted the cylinder to rotate automatically like it does in those old revolvers. So I started doing some research, and by research I mean I googled some really questionable stuff and the police showed up at my door and now I'm on a watch list. But anyway, in conclusion, the mechanism used in revolvers is too complicated and would be extremely flimsy and unreliable at such a small scale. But fear not, my violence-loving children, I've got another trick up my sleeve. Wait, oh for fuck's sake. This is very similar to what they use in actual Nerf blasters, and it works like this. This contact pin is pushed against the smaller cylinder with a groove in it, and when you push the pin forward, it slides forward in the groove and rotates the cylinder by 60 degrees. And when you pull it back, the pin falls into a deeper groove and comes straight back instead of undoing the rotation. Which is great, because otherwise what would even be the fucking point of having those 5 extra chambers, right? Let's build a test rig for this mechanism and see if we can get it to work. But before we do that, I would like to thank my sponsor for this video, PCBWay. If you guys want to build something, whether it's electronics, mechanical components, 3D printing, CNC, whatever you could possibly need, these guys can help. They've helped me with my past projects, and their services are extremely affordable for the quality that you're getting with a quick turnaround. So it's a total no-brainer if you're starting a build project of your own. Check them out at the link in the description. Now back to the video. Okay, here's the test rig, and it works kinda. Let me explain. I spent 3 days working on it. Okay, that's a lie. I spent 45 minutes working on it, and I tried a bunch of different things, and this is the best prototype I could make, and it works about 70% of the time. From what I could understand, the problem isn't the design, it's just that because of how delicate and tiny it is, it needs to be handled with care. And when you're out there on the Nerf battlefield fighting for your life, well, not life, virginity. You just can't be bothered to deal with something as delicate as this that also happens to have the reliability of a McDonald's ice cream machine. Now, if this channel was like one of those channels where people just build one-off things for themselves, I could have lied to you and said, "Oh my god, this works perfectly, nailed it first try." But since I've kind of fucked myself in the ass by branding myself as a DIY guy, this simply would not work. At this point, I was desperate because I had already sunk like 2 weeks into this project and I needed to upload something, so I started experimenting. No, not that kind of experimenting. I meant experimenting with different designs, and I tried a couple of magazine style mechanisms as well, but in the end I felt like I really wanted to make a Maverick Rev 6 style blaster which remains faithful to the original's revolver like design, unlike Mark Rober's single shot blaster, so I came up with this. It's basic, it works, and most importantly, it's reliable. The mechanism works like this. There's a protruding nipple on the spool. The nipple fits into these 6 holes on the cylinder and aligns the dart perfectly with the barrel. The nipple protrudes enough to fit snugly into these holes, but not enough to inhibit relative motion if you rotate the cylinder to reload. Once you're done shooting a dart, you just cock the hammer back and rotate the cylinder until it pops into the groove and you're good to go. I tested it out a bit more by watching Joker 2 and then shooting myself in the eyes, and after that I added a couple of minor things like a cylinder release mechanism and a lock to ensure that this doesn't happen to you. Great, looks like we're done with the design, and now let's add a sprue to it and turn it into a kit. After a few hours of printing, here's what the final product looks like. Now, while I love my 3D printer for its personality, there's no denying that it's kinda below average in size, and sometimes you just need a bigger printer. So I'd be curious to see how big you guys can make this in case you have a printer with a large build volume. Anyway, let's assemble it and then we can try it out. Okay, honestly, it looks great. And I'm not even saying that in the same way some parents call their baby beautiful, even when it's clearly one of those babies that look better in the ultrasound. Anyway, let's test it out and see if this works. Okay, great. As usual, I've included the kit files as well as the individual part files, and you can find the links to all of that stuff in the description. If you just want to get the files and be on your way, then please use the Gumroad link, or if you want to get this and all of my other project files as well for the same price, consider becoming a Patreon member. It's way cheaper than Mark Rober's Crunchables. I guess that's for a reason. But anyway, links in the description. Speaking of Patreon members, I would like to take a second to thank these amazing people for sticking around. This month, all of their money is going towards fighting illiterate kids. Illiteracy is at an all-time high, and we cannot let these children defeat us at any cost. Anyway, that's about it, I guess. Comment down below if you want to see me make something else, and like and subscribe if you want to see more stuff like this. And while you're at it, I highly recommend watching this video next. It is definitely one of the YouTube videos of all time. See you later. Bye.
You and I, we are so random. You bring the darkness to the light, split the atom. I ignore the fact that this will never last.